Hi everybody, it's your bartender, Yanni Hamburger here, with the Macabre Tavern, and of course Troma Month has arrived. We gotta kick off Troma Month with, well, the film that made Troma. Let's just be honest. Even casual horror fans know Troma from one movie, The Toxic Avenger. And this is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. It's absolutely hilarious. If you've never seen it, you got to give it a watch. It's absolutely outstanding. Mitch Cohen is your Toxic Avenger. Kenneth Kessler provided the voice. And Mark Torgel was Melvin. And the story is that basically Melvin is a little 98-pound weakling who works at a janitor at the health club in Tromaville, New Jersey, where customers, particularly Bozo, Slug, Wanda, and Julie, all gang up to pick on him. You know, you can't take a joke, right? Well, they keep harassing him, and they keep getting more violent. There's even one scene where they're deliberately killing a young boy on a bicycle with their car and taking photos of the carnage afterward. It's a great kill right off the bat of the movie. You gotta check it out. Anyways, one day they trick Melvin into wearing a pink tutu and hugging a sheep. Yes, that's right, you heard me. Hugging a sheep. In the health club, and then falls out of a second-story window into a drum of toxic waste. Which is funny because the truck drivers that are there are basically just right at the right place at the right time, snorting cocaine by the bucketful. I mean, that's an 8.5 right there. Just look at their face. I've heard of Coke nose. I've never heard of Coke face. All right, I guess the only time you ever hear of Coke face is like Scarface, right? Well, it sets him on fire, and after running down the street in a ball of fire, he douses himself in his bathtub, which leads to another absolutely hilarious scene where his mother goes, well, I guess Melvin finally hit puberty, right? The chemicals cause him to transform into a horribly deformed mutant, but he's also gifted with supernatural powers. That's basically size and
Melvin. He must have finally reached puberty.
So what does he do? Well, first he comes up on a gang of drug dealers harassing a local cop, and then just decides to absolutely go nuts. Now, Cigar Face, who is the criminal here, was about to castrate our fellow cop here, but Melvin comes out of nowhere and violently leaves the criminals and leaves a mop on their faces as a calling card. Cigar Face manages to escape, promising to take revenge. Melvin tries to return home, but his mother is terrified of him and won't let him in the house. So Melvin is now publicly dubbed the Monster Hero, or the Toxic Avenger, or Toxie. You know, is hailed as a hero and builds his makeshift home in a junkyard. Elsewhere in Tromaville, a gang of 3 men are holding up a Mexican restaurant, and this is one of the greatest scenes. The whole thing is great. Anyways, a gang of 3 men are holding up a Mexican restaurant and attack a blind woman named Sarah. They killed her guide dog, and, well, one of them decides to take some liberties. Yeah. But they're stopped by Melvin, who wreaks bloody vengeance. And this has some of the great kill scenes right here in this. One of them, he ripped his arm off and starts beating with his own arm. Another one turned him into a milkshake, basically. And then the third one, threw his hands into a fryer. And the funniest thing about this is when you get to this scene, the cops are all just they're chowing down and they're just making as many jokes as possible. When it came to this, wow, is it a perfect stand-up or what? But anyways, he takes Sarah home, and they begin to get to know one another, if you know what I mean. Melvin continues to fight crime, including drug dealers and pimps of underage prostitutes. There's a great scene of him pissing on a pedophile. And, yeah, he's pissing raw, toxic waste. He also takes revenge on the 4 tormentors that caused his transformations. First, he attacks Wanda with the health club sauna and burns her backside on the heater, which is another cool scene, I'm not going to lie. Especially if you like that sort of thing. Later, he returns to the club and pursues Julie into the basement, cuts off her hair. But I actually have to admit, Bozo and Slug, they end up getting thrown out of a car and got killed, basically. But the health club does bring in one good scene with the bodybuilder. To the people of the city, Mayor Belgoody, the leader of Tromaville's extensive crime ring, is horrified to see what's happening to his goons. He's worried that it will lead back to him and wants Melvin taken care of. A group of men led by Cigar Face surround Melvin with guns. Just before they fire on him, though, he gets up a fire escape and they end up shooting each other. Good grief. When Melvin kills a seemingly innocent old woman in a dry cleaning store, matter of fact, though, it turns out she's the leader of an underground human trafficking ring, Belgoody uses this opportunity to call on the National Guard. Back in his junkyard home, Melvin is terrified of what he becomes, and he and Sarah decide to move away from the city and move into the woods. They're eventually discovered, and the mayor and the National Guard come to kill him, but the people of Tromaville will have none of it, and Melvin's mother is coming to identify his son as the mutant. The mayor's evil ways are revealed, and Melvin proceeds to rip Belgoody's organs out to see if he has any guts. The movie ends with the reassurance that the toxic Avenger will continue to combat crime in Tromaville, which he did through 4 different movies, and they're all great. A few interesting notes in this. You have to get the director's cut, but Marissa Tomei is actually in this as a girl in the locker room. Yeah, he's actually there. There's a lot to unpack in this movie. Matter of fact, Lloyd Kaufman had this idea going back to 1975 to shoot a horror film involving a health club. Because he was actually the pre-production supervisor for Rocky. And that's kind of where he got the idea. Kaufman said he had said that horror films were no longer popular, so Kaufman claims that he decided to produce his own version of the horror film. His final outcome was, well, more of a campy superhero type, but hey, we love it, right? It's a great movie. If you've never seen it, it's a great movie. You have to get out there and check that out. It's a great spoof. Now, yes, Troma before this pretty much were known for raunchy sex comedies, and there's some good sex scenes in this one too. The Toxic Avenger was shot in various parts of New Jersey, mostly Jersey City, Boonton, Prentice, Harrison, and Rutherford during the summer of 1983. The filming also took place in Depew Park and several of the surrounding streets in Peekskill, New York. Filming wrapped up later in the year. And believe it or not, the car chase scene was inspired by Mad Max 2. Now, there are 3 other movies in this series, and eventually we're going to get to them. But thought I'd kick things off with this. Now, there is the idea of a reboot, and it's been kicked around for about 10, 11 years now. The remake of Mother's Day, motion picture companies were interested in doing remakes of other Troma films. Among the titles were The Toxic Avenger. Now, they want to drop it down to PG-13. I don't think so. Now, the rumor was Arnold Schwarzenegger had to enter talks, but he had a little bit of a conflict with Terminator Genesis. And then the other report says he saw the movie and said, hell to the no. So Variety reported that Conrad Vernon would direct the film, and Guillermo del Toro, Bob Cooper, Alex Schwartz, the usuals, are there to write the screenplay. December 10, 2018, Legendary Pictures had the right to reboot the film, and Kaufman and Hertz were set to be the producers. In 2019, Macon Blair was announced to write and direct the upcoming reboot. Now in 2020, Peter Dinklage is set to star. Jacob Tremblay also joined the cast with Taylor Page earlier this year. And on June 12th, it was announced that Kevin Bacon, yes, there's a 6th degree of Kevin Bacon here, has joined the film with Julia Davis and Elijah Wood. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. I think it's probably going to come out 2025, I'm sure, but I'd go see it. But anyways, let's go back and let's take a look at some of my favorite kills from there. We're going to try this here, and where it's going to be the top 3 kills. And number 3 has got to be the kid getting hit with the bicycle. It's just classic overkill. All right? No two ways around it. My number 2 kill had to be the mayor getting his guts ripped out. It's just there, all right? And my number 1 kill is the human milkshake. Yeah. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this all the way trip down memory lane. We'll have another video coming out on Wednesday of another Tromaville. Until then, this is Yanni Hamburger. Tip your bartenders.